On the first day of the month, I found myself alone in my house, resting on my bed. As I drifted off to sleep, two incredibly large men appeared before me, unlike anything I had ever seen on earth. Their faces radiated like the sun, their eyes burned like torches, and flames emerged from their lips. Their clothing was varied and appeared purple. Their wings shone brighter than gold, and their hands were as white as snow. They stood at the head of my bed and began calling my name. I awoke and saw them clearly standing before me. Greeting them, I felt an overwhelming fear that changed the expression on my face. The men spoke to me, saying, "Have courage, Enoch. Do not fear. The eternal God has sent us to you, and today you shall ascend with us into heaven. You must inform your sons and household of all that they should do in your absence on earth. No one should seek you until the Lord returns you to them." Quickly I obeyed them, left my house, and reached the doors as instructed. I called for my sons, Muzel, Regim, and Gad, and shared with them the wonders the men had told me. After I finished speaking to my sons, the angels lifted me onto their wings and carried me to the first heaven, placing me on the clouds. Looking up, I saw the ether. They showed me a vast sea, far greater than any on earth. They brought before me the elders and rulers of the stellar orders and showed me 200 angels who govern the stars, their roles in the heavens, and how they fly around those who sail. Looking down, I saw the treasure houses of snow and the angels guarding them, as well as the clouds from which they emerge and return. They showed me the treasure house of dew, resembling olive oil and appearing like the flowers of the earth. Many angels guard these treasure houses, controlling their opening and closing. The men then led me to the second heaven, where I witnessed a darkness greater than any on earth. There I saw prisoners hanging, awaiting the great and boundless judgment. These angels were darker than the darkness itself and wept incessantly. I asked the men with me, "Why are these beings tortured without end?" They replied, "These are God's apostates who disobeyed his commands, followed their own will, and turned away with their prince, who is also bound in the fifth heaven." Next they took me to the third heaven and placed me there. Looking down, I saw the produce of the place, unlike any goodness known. I beheld sweet flowering trees with fragrant fruits and foods bubbling with delightful aromas. In the midst of it was the tree of life, where the Lord rests when he ascends to paradise. This tree was of indescribable goodness and fragrance, adorned beyond all else. It appeared gold-like, vermilion, and fire-like, and covered everything. It produced all kinds of fruits, with its root in the garden at the earth's end. Paradise exists between corruptibility and incorruptibility. 2 springs flowed out, producing honey and milk, with their streams also yielding oil and wine. They split into 4 parts and encircled the paradise of Eden, moving quietly down to earth, joining the other elements in their revolution. Here, every tree is fruitful and every place is blessed. 300 very bright angels guard the garden, their sweet singing and never-silent voices serving the Lord throughout all days and hours. The 2 men led me to the northern side and revealed a place of sheer terror. It was filled with all sorts of torches and an oppressive darkness, illuminated only by a murky, ever-flaming fire. A fiery river flowed through the area, and everything was engulfed in fire, frost, ice, thirst, and shivering cold. The bonds were cruel, and the angels there were fearsome and merciless, wielding angry weapons and inflicting relentless torture. I gasped, "Woe, woe, how dreadful is this place!" The men explained, "This place, Enoch, is reserved for those who dishonor God, those who commit sins against nature, corrupt children, engage in sodomitical magic, and practice devilish witchcraft. It is for those who boast of their wicked deeds, stealing, lying, slandering, envying, harboring grudges, committing fornication and murder, and those who, accursedly, steal souls, take from the poor, and enrich themselves at others' expense. They are rich by harming others, ignoring the hungry and the naked, and failing to acknowledge their Creator by worshipping lifeless, soulless gods, vain idols. This is their eternal inheritance. Next, the men took me up to the fourth heaven, where I observed the movements of the sun and moon. I measured their paths and saw that the sun's light is far greater than the moon's. The sun's circle and its wheels move with incredible speed, never resting day or night. It is accompanied by 4 great stars, each with 1,000 smaller stars beneath it, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. Altogether, 8,000 stars move with the sun. During the day, 15 myriads of angels attend it, while at night 1,000 six-winged angels join the celestial procession. Angels kindle and set the sun alight. The men then took me to the 5th heaven. Here I saw countless soldiers known as the Grigori, who resembled giants but withered in appearance. Their faces were sad, their mouths silent, and there was no activity in this heaven. I asked the men, "Why are these beings so withered? Their faces so sorrowful, and their mouths silent. Why is there no activity here?" They replied, "These are the Grigori who, with their leader Satan, rejected the Lord of Light. Some of them descended from the Lord's throne to earth, broke their vows, and took human wives. They polluted the earth with their deeds, creating chaos and giants. Consequently, God judged them harshly. They weep for their fallen comrades and will face punishment on the Lord's great day." Finally, the men carried me to the 6th heaven. There, I saw 7 bands of radiant and glorious angels, their faces shining brighter than the sun. There was no difference in their appearance, behavior, or attire. They oversee the movements of the stars, the phases of the moon, the sun's revolution, and the good governance of the world. When they observe wrongdoing, they issue commandments and instructions through sweet and powerful singing. These archangels, who are higher than ordinary angels, manage all life in heaven and on earth. They are responsible for seasons, years, rivers, seas, and the fruits of the earth. They ensure that every living thing is nourished and keep records of all human souls and their deeds before the Lord. Among them are 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, and 6 six-winged angels, all singing in unison. Their songs are indescribable, and they rejoice before the Lord at his footstool. The 2 men then lifted me up to the 7th heaven, where I was overwhelmed by an immense light and the sight of numerous fiery troops of great archangels in various orders and dominions. I saw cherubim, seraphim, thrones, and many-eyed beings, all part of 9 celestial regiments, shining with radiant light. The grandeur of it all filled me with fear, and I began to tremble. The men reassured me, saying, "Have courage, Enoch, do not be afraid," and guided me to see the Lord from a distance, sitting majestically on his high throne. In the 10th heaven, where the Lord dwells, is called Aravat in Hebrew. The heavenly hosts took their places on 10 steps according to their rank, bowing before the Lord before returning to their places, filled with joy and singing tender, melodious songs in the boundless light as they gloriously served him. I then saw the 8th heaven, known as Muzaloth in Hebrew, which governs the seasons and the 12 constellations in the firmament above the 7th heaven. Next was the 9th heaven, called Kuchavim in Hebrew, where the celestial homes of the 12 constellations are located. In the 10th heaven, Aravoth, I saw the Lord's face like molten iron glowing in fire, emitting sparks and burning brightly. The sight of the Lord's face was indescribable, marvelous, awe-inspiring, and utterly terrifying. It is beyond human ability to fully convey the Lord's ineffable presence and the splendor of his face. I could not even begin to describe the multitude of his commands and the varied sounds surrounding him. His throne was immense, unmade by human hands, and surrounded by countless cherubim and seraphim, whose constant singing and his unchangeable beauty were beyond words. The magnitude of his glory is truly beyond description. Overwhelmed, I fell prostrate and bowed before the Lord. He spoke to me, saying, "Have courage, Enoch, do not be afraid. Rise and stand before my face forever." The archangel Michael lifted me up and brought me before the Lord. The Lord then instructed his servants, "Let Enoch stand before my face for eternity." The glorious beings bowed and affirmed, "Let Enoch proceed according to your command." The Lord directed Michael, "Go and remove Enoch's earthly garments. Anoint him with my sweet ointment, and dress him in garments of my glory." Michael followed the Lord's command, anointing me with a substance brighter than any light. The ointment was like sweet dew, with a mild fragrance, shining like the sun's rays. As I looked at myself, I realized I had been transformed to resemble one of the Lord's glorious ones.